All right, welcome everybody to our Season 38 NCBB season preview show. We've started yet another season. It's probably not our biggest yet, but 48 teams is right around the most we've ever had. We've got a huge group of new teams in the non-AQ, so technically it may be the biggest and best season, but we're excited for it. There's going to be a lot of great games. We've already had a couple. We can take a look at some of them. The first game of the season was a tie between the Polypuercos Dwarves from Gotrek and Zedarog's Chaos Dwarves, the Mountaineers. Classic evil versus just as evil battle. Apparently a bunch of casualties. Zedarog's Chaos Dwarves got beat up a little bit, so season was officially underway with that game. Earlier today there was another game, the U-Pike Pain Bearers, Dark Elves, Notre Dame fighting Elvish, High Elves. Wog came away with a 2-1 victory there, so good start for his season. And currently we've got one more game going. That's Gark's ITBA Tinkerers and the Clemson Terrors. So Nomad making his return to the league. Gark technically also making a return after a season off. Doesn't have the mighty Fayetteville Wood Elves anymore, but perhaps his High Elves are no less potent, so we'll see how that game goes. So, new season, bunch of old coaches, bunch of returning teams, but we'd be remiss if we didn't start out with the defending national champions. That's Crichton. It had been a while, but he's finally back on top of the mountain, and he's got pretty much the whole team back. He graduated all of one senior player, albeit a good one. Senior thrower, oh god, what was the name? Charbonneau? I think it's Charbonneau. He was like a 100 SPP thrower, blodge, dump off, all sorts of fun stuff. But the gang's all back, plus the agility Lino, guard Lino, very good blitzer in Leo, 3 catchers, 2 with stats, of course. What else do they need? And it's going to be tough to beat this team. Doesn't have a lot of Lino help. Just a bunch of average freshmen and sophomore line elves. But maybe this is all Crichton needs to get through the season and make another playoff push, because he's certainly capable. I believe his first game is going to be against some Lizard team on Monday. And said Lizard team is actually coming in at a fairly low TV, but that's what happens when you graduate 2 senior Sorai of like 50 SPPs each. My old Lizards. The 2 oldest teams in the league is face off once again for our rivalry. Certainly the most games played in league history. 1 and 2, but overall pretty solid Lizard team. You've got a block sure hand Skink, you've got the guard stand firm Crocs, and you've got a couple decent 1 and 2 skill Sorai, 2 freshmen Sorai. First day on campus, already getting some practice in, ready for those elves potentially, but also in a group with 2 Nurgle teams, so it's going to be one hell of an out-of-conference for that whole pod. As far as conferences go, Big Beast hasn't changed a whole lot. We've got pretty much the same group as last season. Gark coming back to us after taking a season off, so just taking a look at the conferences overall. Beast has got UTEP, Bama, Cal, Poly, Kentucky, Notre Dame, Normandale, and ITBA. So the 2 teams that have won games already, well, no, I guess Notre Dame won and Poly tied. So 2 teams that have played already have been in the Beast, so early risers, I suppose we are. Alabama graduated quite a few guys. Kentucky, that's a tough team. Notre Dame, Wog hitting his stride. It's hard to say who's going to be the favorite. I haven't looked at all the rosters a ton. I know they're playing right now, but Gark perhaps might be one of the favorites. Let me see if I can pull up his roster. Gark also listening in while he's playing, so it's very possible that some of these players have died and I just do not know about it. But pre-game, this is what his roster looked like. Going with High Elves for ITBA as opposed to the Wood Elves. This is a team that had been in the league previously that has rejoined. Young blitzers, plus movement catcher, plus movement, agility, leap. Russell Lino is disgusting. Very good thrower. AG Lino plus MA Lino, another good thrower. Interesting. Yep, pretty solid elf team there. Gark's a hell of a coach. Going to be quite the problem, assuming they get through Clemson. Anyone watching that game currently?
I'm not, unfortunately.
Okay. Welcome, Roto. Epijar, Baz, Dutch, Gark, anyone else? I know Charlie said he was going to try to join via earphones on his phone from his daughter's softball game. He said it was going to be 4 hours of just watching people get walked, so he'd be tuning in. So.
Yeah, unfortunately, there's a championship game going on for another league I'm in right now, so I'm kind of have that on the screen.
That's right. Apijar is going to be listening because he's watching the Islanders. They're, I believe, tied 1-1 in their playoff series. So hopefully the night goes well for Apijar and his hockey team. All right, Roto. Since you're here, what do you got coming back? Air Force is pretty low on the TV down there, but Underworld.
Honestly, we're not that bad off this season. We have the only thing we lost is we lost our old thrower, so we have to get a brand new rookie thrower, which will be tricky for leveling up nowadays since I do have the gutter to do a lot of the ball handling. But yeah, I'll probably be focusing on that this season, trying to give it MVPs and get it to a playable state.
Wow, that is a nice blitzer there in the mold of ye old
not
murder rat.
Not yet.
He's getting there. He just needs Frenzy and Juggernaut.
Next skill will probably actually be tackle or horns, depending on what I do.
I like horns. That's not bad.
And the final skill will be whichever one I don't take next level, unless I get a stat up or doubles. But unfortunately, with the as of a season or so ago, when I lost the second blitzer, I don't really have an option but to make each and every blitzer a killer.
That's true.
No, my real MVP though is my troll.
That's a nice troll.
He's gonna be real popular once he graduates.
Yeah, he'll lose the tentacles, but block, guard, stand firm. That's all I want on a big, so that's what I'd go for.
And he is a senior, so.
Well, I mean, he can get 20 SPP and get a stat up, so.
It's true. 21, but yeah.
I'm not to be honest, I'm not really worried about him. He's perfect. He fulfills his role perfectly as is. So I'm just, if he gets SPP, he gets SPP. I'm not
too worried about it. How's the Gutter Runner edition working for the team? Do you like him?
I like him, but I'm not sure if he's worth the cost of a blitzer.
I mean, this one's got 8 touchdowns. He doesn't.
You do use him, yeah.
I do use him. Don't get me wrong, but I traded a blitzer and a thrower for a gutter runner and a lineman. Like, don't get me wrong, a thrower for a gutter is a straight upgrade, no questions asked. The problem is, I replaced a lineman for a blitzer or a lineman for a thrower is a straight downgrade.
Just wait till you get like a good gutter runner, and then you'd be like, "I've seen the light."
Yeah,
no,
it's double.
No, it's not that. It's not that. Gutter runners are great. The problem is I have a single gutter runner.
That's true. That is a bit of a liability.
It is extreme liability, and keep in mind, this is the first gutter runner I've had that's lasted as many games as it has.
I mean, 11. Yeah, that's not a lot.
I've not had a gutter runner. This is the first time a gutter runner's made it past the freshman season.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, first time for
everything. I'm surprised you're only running 11 players.
And that's mostly because I've mostly been lazy with work. I haven't actually fully updated the team yet. I will be rocking 13. I need to buy another goblin and my thrower.
Fair
Since the
enough.
last, but I rock a 13 player underworld build.
All right. So on the opposite end of this TV spectrum, we've got 1290 Air Force. We're going to juxtapose that with the largest TV in the league, since he's here with us. That's going to be the Northern Virginia Demons of Corn. We love them.
Oh gosh.
That's all I got. We just love them. They're fun to watch. And don't you have an Amazon matchup in your out of conference?
I do, yeah. And apparently it's the top one of the top teams as of last season.
It's true. They were the number 2 seed in the playoff, and I'm actually really interested in that battle because I've never seen a Corn versus Amazon game. So for the Corn, they currently have it's a pretty nice roster, and thankfully you took Mighty Blow first on the Bloodthirster. I know you didn't on your first one for like graduation, like NBFL reasons, and it just infuriated me to no end.
Yeah, but it still worked out. He graduated with over 70 SPP.
No, it's true. He still performed despite not having Mighty Blow. I mean, when you have Claw just starting out, I mean, you are the incarnation of Corn's Fury and all that good fluffy stuff. But that's
I deal with a lot of 8-9 AV teams, so for me, Claw was just better than Mighty Blow. I mean, Mighty Blow's the good ad, but
yeah, you can have both though.
I mean, yeah, but dude, if I at least stun a dwarf every single turn, it's great.
No, that's true. All right, so backing him up, we've got some demons, the little bloodletters, plus MA, plus 3 plus MA is actually very nice on a team that's base movement 6. That gives you a lot more versatility. I like that a lot. Jump up's interesting, but I do like the skill.
This is our second full senior team, so we're going to be doing a lot of graduations at the end of this next season.
Looks like it. Plus AG pit fighter, leader, couple veteran pit fighters at the bottom, and then just 2 pretty basic heralds. In my experience, I felt the heralds were the key to the team. They should be blitzing frequently. You know, Horn, Juggernaut, Frenzy.
The heralds were the surf threat and or basically their job was to either surf people or hit the ball carrier.
Yeah. All right. I like this team. It's gonna.
It kind of got overblown by the bloodletters when I kept rolling plus movement, but
yeah, but you know they can do different things. Like bloodletters, like you run that way, and Corn Heralds, you go punch that guy in the face. I don't know. I like it. It's a pretty chunky team, despite only having 3 rerolls. But you got a leader there,
and the team hits a lot. And I don't have really. I've got 2 Mighty Blow on the entire team. So
well, you can only blitz 1 per turn, so maybe that's the right number. No, most people seem to want like 11 Mighty Blow or something crazy.
It's been a while, and I've been kind of not taking Blood Bowl seriously for the last couple of years.
Whoa. You're telling me a man who plays Old World Alliance and Underworld in the NBFL isn't taking Blood Bowl seriously?
Oh boy, yes, I know.
There's nothing wrong with Underworld. What do you have against Underworld?
Only in the NBFL.
In like a 2,500 plus average TV league, there's a lot wrong with Underworld. And this was before they got the gutter.
Alright.
I see nothing wrong here at all. Underworld's best team. We need all the buffs in the world.
The point of me playing Underworld in NBFL was to basically embarrass people by tying them on occasion.
It's true, and that did happen. And one of the more infamous moments, nay, legendary, is when, correct me if I'm wrong, you did like a gobo toss onto somebody's ball carrier. I think it was like a Nurgle team or something late in the game.
So I did nick, yes. So there was one, I think I was playing, was it Monona?
Amon?
No, that was Chaos Dwarfs.
I swear it was a...
So I've done a goblin toss on Monona, and I've definitely been fucking around with Amon back then. But, oh yeah, no, that was the first like full end. It was like a 2-0 win against Nurgle. So
I swear,
after
like
that,
he threw a goblin, hit the ball carrier, and knocked him out, and like picked it up and scored her, or something.
it wasn't.
Something
It wasn't
weird.
in the same turn. It wasn't in the same turn, but yes, that's how it worked out. It was
Okay.
just because I knocked the ball carrier, and then after that, I noticed that Emon just started skilling everybody with tackle,
Weird.
and then I never won another game.
Unfortunate. All right. So that's our beloved Demons of Corn. Is there anybody in your conference that you specifically watch out for? I mean, the AKC is absolutely loaded. Whoever built this conference needs to be ashamed
Yeah,
of
no,
themselves.
honestly, it's scary no matter what. Give me 1 second. I'm just gonna jump right back on it.
Apajar. All right. Apajar perhaps gonna have to eat his own words because he's also in that conference, obviously, and it's a bit of a brutal one. So, not only do you have the chunky Demons of Corn, you've got Nomad coming back with his Undead. You've got Dutch with his Norse that are due for a roster reset, apparently. So we'll take a look at what he currently has before they all disappear. Menno's there with UNAM. MRT is still there. We haven't really talked about MRT as a title contender in a while because he's just been so quiet in chat. Uber's there with his Nurgle.
Have always been, like, against the Elfskays, I have probably not won a single game. I can almost guarantee that.
Yeah, I mean, most people don't beat MRT.
And then on top of that, he's just a really good coach, so that makes it worse. Minona is like, he's a very good coach who only plays murder teams. So
yeah, he does seem to have that kind of thing going, doesn't he?
Yeah, it's either got to be some kind of heavy-hitting chaos dwarf, or it's got to be some other kind of heavy-hitting chaos dwarf.
All right. Speaking of heavy hitting, I believe this team led the league in casualties last season, and it wasn't particularly close. But
which one?
Washington, the Old Norse. We're going to take a look at this roster before they get the Old Norse reset, and this is wow. This is a star and scrub roster for sure. You've got a bunch of Norse linos.
And the thing is that even like the absolute worst Norse player is still pretty damn good.
Yeah, he blocks, and he gets blocked, and that's it.
And if you're stuck with loners, hey, they got a block. We're good.
Yeah. So Dutch having a fair amount of money, so he won't probably rely on any loners, but you never know with Norse. They're just one game away potentially. But before that, they've got very nice Snow Troll, very nice Berserker, very nice Catcher. I mean, that big three right there, and a very nice Ulfamore. So I'll go big four. Like, that's a very nice core.
All they really need, though, is just, well, they've got like 2 players, 2 hitters. That's all you really need.
Yeah, you got a guy for the ball, you got 2 guys to hit the ball, and then you got a bunch of guys to either screen or follow up with blocks. So the formula's there. We'll see if Dutch can finally get over the hump and stop being like the 5th or 6th best team and make it to the top 4. Because he's been close, but not quite. So standing in his way, unfortunately, is just absolute... Every time he loses one, he gets another. Speaking of Menno and his Super Wolves, he's got another one. He's only like a junior or something. Alfonso Martinez.
It really doesn't help that he just gets the right stats on the right players.
Yeah. I mean, maybe he just had a bad experience in the championship game against my Movement 10 Agility 5 skink, and he tried to grow one of his own, and he's getting pretty close to doing it. Plus agility, plus movement, block, plus movement. 1 SPP away from, I assume, yet another stat. Maybe strength.
It's going to be a 6-6.
Yeah, exactly, I mean, it's just the one thing he doesn't have. Both golems are very solid. Block guard. One's got Mighty Blow as well. 1 SPP away from a skill as well. Tackle, Mighty Blow, guard, grab on a white.
And he's only got a couple of seniors, too, so this is going to be even worse team next year.
Yeah, that's exactly what we want to hear. But brutal conference, perhaps someone can... Exactly, Charlie, exactly. Perhaps somebody can chip away at his team.
That's what I gotta do.
I mean, if it bleeds, you can kill it, right?
I'm happy if I get a bowl, but you know what? Otherwise, I'll just ruin other people's chances at it.
There you go. All right. Anyone else from the AKC we want to look at? I know Hawaii doesn't have a whole lot right now, so we'll spare Apajar taking a peek at his roster. I don't know. AKC is going to be brutal. We've already looked at 3 rosters, and they all look very good, very high TVs. It's going to be a slugfest, to say the least. Do we want to take a look at... let's take a look at the SMAC. We've already looked at Oregon. That's Crichton's High Elf team. We've got Hyper, unfortunately not with us tonight. He's got some real-life stuff he's doing, or, you know, whatever.
Well, he's in the chat, so...
He's in the chat, but he'll have to watch the video while we look at his lovable lizards. And when your first player, I mean, I'm glad the Sorai are grouped up. I absolutely hate the fact they're not like 1 through 6, but at least it's not like Skink, Saurus, Crocs, Skink, so like that team roster design just absolutely infuriates me. So. That aside,
it does tell us his maximum numbers around skinks, so...
It's true. But when your very first player is a plus agility, sidestep, sure feet, sprint skink, you are doing something right.
So but that also means everyone else is doing something wrong.
Not necessarily. He's got...
It should be dead.
He's got...
He shouldn't go 32 games, man. Are you kidding?
That's fair. He's got the ball carrier, and that's all you need is lizards half the time. And he's got 1, 2, 3, 4 experienced Sora. I believe he's only got like 3, looks like 4 seniors on the team. And for your 4th season, that's not exactly how you draw it up. You assume you're going to have like 6 to 7, which is pretty average, I would say.
He's obviously suffered the Saurus die first syndrome, so.
Yeah. But he's got a couple good ones. Especially Jude Tasden, plus agility, plus strength, block, mighty blow guard.
That's a scary boy right there.
Maybe as like a chaos warrior, that guy would just be absolutely nasty in the NBFL. Of course, assuming, you know, Blood Bowl 2020.
Yep.
We don't actually want those stats.
Any 4 strength player will just, that's gross.
Oh god, if Gru gets that player, it's over. That as a gorilla.
Gorillas?
Oh, no.
Wow, so basically you take amazing, add grab to it, and we're all dead.
And we're all doomed.
And I have to deal with him, man. I don't
you
like
do, and good news for you is he did probably lose one of the gorillas finally. It had been AV busted for a while, but it got a niggling injury as well in the recent playoff game. So that one is...
AV bust on it. Yeah.
Oh, well, good job. Someone finished the job for you.
It was one of Mangle Soda's wonderful ties. I actually managed to tie the group.
Nice. All right, well, back to what we were talking about. Very solid Lizard team, tough conference. Just getting through Oregon's not going to be easy, but you also have Indiana, that G. Anthony's improving Necro. I mean, franchise is the right word. Program. Let's go with program.
Do we say G. Anthony or Ganthony?
I don't know. Like Anthony, like it seems like that's how you pronounce it, but it seems.
I've always said Ganthony in my head.
Ganthony. I mean, yeah, that probably makes the most sense. What has he got? He's got some nice players. Plus movement, blodge, sidestep, wolf. Plus agility, white.
You gotta bring it up for the Twitch guys to see it, though.
Yeah, I suppose. Boom. 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 Done. Alright, so another Necro team. Not quite as scary as Menos, but certainly no less formidable. That one wolf down there, like he's 2 SPPs away from becoming a problem. He gets a stat 2.
They're all problems. Like,
That's true.
Well, especially in the league setup that we have here, either elf teams or, well, Necromantic, they can do fantastic within 2 seasons.
It's true.
And that's exactly what it looks like here. A lot of sophomores going in next season. And they're already kind of a gross team. 1730.
Yeah, he did hit his first graduating class not too long ago. So, already on the rebound, it appears.
He's definitely poised for a breakout if he can get a season with some decent lucky SPP and MVPs. He could definitely just become disgusting.
I'm trying to think though. What's going to happen when we move over to Blood Bowl 2020?
I've tried not to think about it, honestly. Speaking of disgustingly high TV teams, not to be outdone, there's a Wood Elf team in that conference that we don't talk about a ton. They haven't had the national attention that a different Wood Elf team got a couple seasons ago. They do have a fantastic logo. They've got a fantastic team, perhaps, as well. Look at this. Got it. I mean, War Dancer plus strip ball and tackle, basically perfect already. But then you got his tag team partner with agility, tackle, strip ball. You got a plus strength catcher, a plus strength thrower, which I may have skipped the strength and taken strong arm instead. It just seems to make more sense, but...
Well, in the league setup, but as a draftee, fantastic.
It's true. You don't get many skilled players with plus strength. Well, that may not be true. The draft has been so chock full of stats recently. But Garrett Wilson, just very good scoring threat. Sidestep, block, sure feet, leap, fan. I mean, this team, if the sack attempts go well, can win every single game that they play.
Yep.
They got the players to do it. We'll see if health permitting and, you know.
Do you know how he's done with the running tree men on a Wood Elf team?
I don't know. This one's only got 4 games. And I can take a look at his past players real quick. Nelfin, I assume, is talking about his wonderful Croxagore and the big Malcolm Brogdon, I believe his name is. And he's been very happy with him as a Croxagore in the league. But he used to be a tree man. Okay, here he is actually. Malcolm Pridgeon. Plus strength guard, grab, block. A former Ohio State graduate. What other trees has he had? He had Josh Myers, who had 65 SPPs in 40 games. He had a 7-game tree man. All right, overall he's had some pretty lengthy tree man. 33, 40, and I mean 7 obviously is not that lengthy.
Okay. So that's like a full... And
it's kind of the gauntlet.
Every once in a while somebody gets lucky and breaks the...
Yeah, it's like when Gark's tree, like, straight up killed Baz's tree in a NBFL game once. It's not likely, but it happens.
Yep.
All right. Who else in that conference is notable? I mean, Archaean? I mean, he's not important at all, so we can ignore him.
I agree.
As he should.
As he should. Klaz comes back to the league with CSU Northridge. It's a Chaos Pact team. Let's see if I can find... Oh, they're pretty chunky, too. I didn't even have to scroll down.
Are they going to be good chunky, though?
I don't know. I mean, you know, sometimes it's chunky but funky, you know?
Pact always has problems, like, at every TV level, but...
Let's see. What's he bringing to the table? He's got a Blodge, Agility 5 Dark Elf. That's a good sign already. Well, for him at least. A plus Agility Goblin. Alright. You throw Big Hand on it or Horns or something, and all of a sudden you got a threat. You got Mighty Blow. You got plus Agility plus Movement Block Sure Hands as a Lino. Granted AV busted. Let's see. Ogre's new. Troll's Guard. Minotaur's Block Guard. Yeah, I mean, you've got the pieces you kind of need. Not enough, like, Frenzy and certainly no Claw yet, but you got the agility you need, you've got some movement, you've got a block Minotaur, so
yeah,
that's not going to be fun to play against.
No, and, like, regardless, he has a decent shot at winning any game. I mean, he could get completely wrecked doing it, but he can absolutely win any game with that team.
For sure. All right. The other new joinee of that group is UCAM. It's Astaflix's weird Canadian blue dolphin team or whatever, which I assume is some weird Canadian sex move, but, you know...
I've never heard of either and performed none.
I would not recommend Googling it, so... Let's see what he's got to the table. He's already 16-30 after one season, which is not super surprising for a pro elf team, considering they're pretty goddamn expensive.
Yeah, elves.
It's true, and they're expensive.
I mean,
and he's got...
Anytime I'm here, I complain. Elves are perfect for this league setup.
Oh, for sure.
Because off the block, they're amazing. But you should be winning, man. Come on.
Well, Astaflix did a little bit of winning last season. He got a bowl game with 6 wins. He's got 2 very solid blitzers. He's got Mighty Blow. He's got Guard, more Mighty Blow, Leader.
And that's the proof. He doesn't have a single stat. He doesn't have anything really fancy on any of his guys.
Not yet, at least.
And you get a bowl.
Yeah. Certainly not a lot of support from the Linos. Not as like I was about to say, not a single SPP among them, but the one at the bottom, just random casualty, saving grace. But everyone else
I'd
is new.
say they die. Man, it seems like well, I mean, just from looking at it, you can kind of tell that he doesn't care what happens to his Linos.
It's true.
11 games, most of them are 1 or 2. So
I think perhaps he was saving up his money and maybe using loaners and then using the redshirt rule, because when you have 4 brand new players from your bowl game, you probably know what you're doing, and that's a good move, getting a redshirt on all those guys. And then he went out and skilled the catcher too, so it's very nicely done.
the money for that though.
Well, you just save it up through the course of the season.
Okay.
So, well, now he's absolutely broke. He's literally got a 0 for his treasury, so he's susceptible to a big early L. So,
but who else does he wind up going to play with in his out of conference? Because 1600 is pretty low.
Comparatively, yeah. Let's take a peek. We've got our pin messages. Let's see. UQuam should be easy to spot. Nope, that's UNAM. There it is, up top. Alright. Oh, right, this is the grouping of death. The pot of death, whatever you want to call it. Paris, that's Doofer's Necro. Tamu, that's Baz's Texas A&M Bretonians. UW, that's MRT's High Elves. And Astaflix, the Pro Elves. So
really what you're saying is he might wind up going into the regular season at 1200.
It's possible.
Team value.
I mean, the Bretts don't hit super hard in general. High Elves, I wouldn't say, are a huge casualty threat. And then Paris, they're Necro. I mean, Claw doesn't do him a whole lot in this matchup. So I don't know how much Mighty Blow he has right now, but I mean, it's not like you're facing Orcs and a bunch of other things. So he's certainly going to lose a few players, but that coaching pod, literally all high NBFL level. That's a disgusting pod. So yeah, good luck, Astaflix. What are we saying in the chat here? Thought we were friends. Hawaii.
No, it's Apple just arguing.
Oh, they're talking about
who's prettier.
Pro Elf stuff. Sorry, Elven Union is what they're technically called now. Alright, so moving forward, the UAC, our beloved newest conference that's been headed up by Nelfine in Ottawa. Nelfine is definitely in the chat. And Nelfine, despite being like notorious anti-elf person, he just wants to foul them to death. He's also got a soft spot for Pro Elves apparently. But his NBFL team is not Pro Elves. He's Undead, and that's of course Ottawa, who's somewhere on this list. Actually, I think they're kind of low considering. Control.
Hey man, if he ever decides to move from Ottawa, I'm in Hamilton. We can go and have fun. But I mean, you'll have to pick a proper team.
That's fair. All right, so let's see what Nelfine's rocking now, because looks like he got hit with some graduation recently. Because there's not a ton here, but you can never really count out the undead until playoff time. So, Michelle Lowen comes back. Not that we needed that. Plus MA, block, sure hands, plus agility sidestep. I'm probably certain that she's going to at least be in the running for Offensive Player of the Year, if not the winner. I just haven't done the awards voting. I hope to get that done tomorrow.
Oh, for Michelle?
Well, just for last season, but I do think Michelle will be in the running for that award at least. So 2 new ghouls to help her or watch her or not do anything. I don't know. Nelfine seems to stack SVPs on a single ghoul for better or for worse. Then we've got a white with some experience and a white with no experience. Then 2 mummies, 1 with block, both with guard, both with stand firm. Ironic that he believes in staying firm on his mummies, but not his Sorai. That's a lesson he needs to learn, but that's another discussion for another day. So, I mean, you got the tools there.
Outside of the ghoul, I mean, it's just a really low-end team.
It is. It's only 1560, which, I mean, if you're facing the right team, you get a bribe for the legendary John NBFL Madden Jr., Dirty Player Zombie. You've got Michelle Lowen to do the ball. You've got Rollo Chester to blitz. You've got the two mummies to do mummy things. One of them is unfortunately named after a senior Saurus that died in the game against Ottawa. Rip Alex Funches, you shall be missed. But yeah, I mean, he's got a pretty simple formula with the roster as it is, and Nelfine's good enough to get the job done. So we'll see how Ottawa does. Let's see what else is going on in chat. I kind of touched on the Beast already. Maybe. Oh well. Who else is in this division? We need to look at Manitoba because I don't know anything about the coach, and yet they were like 7th last season in the league in the final poll with.
Who's Manitoba's coach?
Knine. So Knine. I'm not sure I've really ever spoken with them a ton. This is a second season Chaos team that won 6 games, if I recall. Chaos does not do well in this league, just historically, and I mean, it makes a lot of sense. Chaos is hard building up to this TV level, and once you get it there, it's good, but winning 6 games in your second season as Chaos is ridiculously difficult to do. So props to Knine, I guess you would say is the coach name. We need to watch this team this season because maybe they got something going. Look at these blockers.
I'm surprised he went with this build, to be honest. I can see that he purchased a blocker recently, but with something like this, unless he loses a blocker, he's going to be holding something fierce. You know?
Can't always control that, but
true.
3 experienced blockers taking tentacles on one, Mighty Blow Claw on the other. You've got a Minotaur with block and claw, so he's ready to go.
Oh yeah, no, that's about as perfect a Minotaur as you can get.
Toss guard on him next, I guess. Wrestle tackle, defensive piece, so he's not forgetting about things besides killing people. Plus MA sure hands 2 heads. I think you would have preferred to get like block or dodge or something, but when you get a double for mutation, I think maybe dodge, but you can make an argument for 2 heads, making everything a 2+ in theory.
Honestly, I wouldn't even go guard on that Minotaur. I'd say either stand firm or Juggernaut, assuming singles.
That's not a bad call, I suppose.
You know, I mean, stand firm allows him to be a safe, what's the word? Surf threat, you know what I mean? And Juggernaut can allow him to better deal with Wrestle.
Fair point, Nelfine. I forgot that mutations are normals on Beastmen. I don't play Chaos a whole lot. So, he didn't roll doubles. He took 2 heads, so that makes a lot of sense. Diving Tackle, interesting first skill, but it gives you a piece for defensive purposes. You can place him where he's needed. Kick Block, Wrestle, Guard, so pretty solid team overall. You'd like to have some agility somewhere, maybe another movement, but certainly seems like he knows what he's doing. And we'll have to cast one of his games so we can get take a peek at how they're doing.
I do like the fact that he made a kick goat. You don't see that enough out the gate.
No, it's one of those...
And you're right. And it is honestly something I think that most teams need.
Oh, God, yes.
Like, I think defense against any agility, fast team is required.
Yeah, no, it's good to see. A lot of teams, you either have coaches who don't like kick for whatever reason, or they're playing teams that unfortunately need everything else before they can justify getting kick. So it's nice to see that yeah. So it's just nice to see kick actually being taken on something like this.
It's true. All right. I almost didn't notice this, but we've got the 2nd highest TV team in the league in this conference. And it's perhaps because we didn't think about them a lot the last 2 seasons. After they had their successful Rose Bowl run in season somewhere. 34. It's been a couple seasons on the way back up, but the Golden Go For It's running a huge roster as per usual. They've had quite a few very good draft prospects go to the pros recently, And now it looks like they're hitting that upswing again where they've got some senior players, upperclassmen, plus movement, sprint, sure feet as a catcher. I mean, he's just a human, but he's pretty solid. You need a scoring threat. There you go. Plus strength, block, guard, lino for your, start the turn block. You've got Mean, Gene, Okerlund for your blitzing purposes. Love Juggernaut. Would love to see him get Frenzy. We'll see if he can get there. Guard Stanford on your Ogre. He's done. Don't worry about him. 2 other good blitzers, one with movement. I like this team. You got a good thrower at the top. It's going to be a tough conference. You're very high TV, so you're giving up bribes to teams like Ottawa, but I like humans. I think they're good despite what Wog thinks and his experiences. So I'm excited to see how the Golden Gophords do with this roster this season. Who else in the UAC is worth talking about? Should we look at Doofer's team? Or are we just going to assume they get beaten up by the Pro Elves that we talked about? I know Asty's listening in now, so we're assume that Asty will pull some shenanigans and just mercy kill like all the Necro for us. So we don't even need to look at Doofer's roster. We can look, I suppose, at Princeton. I know Phone Tome's been in chat recently, so we'll see how his second-year team looks. If I was Princeton, I'd be... whatever. There. Good old control find. Oh, that's right. This team could be a problem if they can stay healthy. And that's a big if. But there's a foundation here. When you have a plus agility dodge blitzer, a double plus MA catcher, granted he's already got a niggling injury, another catcher with 2 stats, double strength, and then a lino at the bottom with plus agility and block. So it's not a deep team, but it's a team that's got some freaks, and if they can stay healthy...
Yeah, no kidding. Holy shit.
This is a sophomore team. So you give
However, I think they have almost too many freaks.
It's true. Sometimes you don't have enough people to do the minute things. And especially when you have 3 guard linos. A, that super inflates your value. B, they can't dodge reliably or safely without the reroll. They don't block reliably.
In all honesty, I would have loved to play against this team just because with all the freaks, the TV's so overinflated, they're going to be giving out inducements out the wazoo. And against any bash team, they're going to have a very, very bad day. I think this team could easily become horrifying monsters if they can survive this season. But on the flip side, I think they could have, with just how overinflated the TV is, they could go down very quickly.
Yeah, and the big issue is just order of operations. Normally it's player A blitzes, player B gets the ball, player C does this, but there's really no players that can screen on this team. Like, generally it's like, all right, here's my good players, and here's the players that I can sacrifice as pawns on a chessboard. But when 3 of your guard players are like linos, you want to keep them alive. But if you want to keep them alive, who's protecting the catchers? And who's protecting the blitzers and all this other stuff? So it's just kind of a conundrum. You may end up having to sacrifice a few of these players along the way. But, survival of the fittest, right?
They have 240 TV just in stat ups.
Wow.
Yeah, as I love freaks. As anyone here can know with my underworld, I will happily take any and all stat ups. But I think this is hit a point where they're going to have issues. I think they really will.
Well, we shall find out. Another team that we need to keep an eye on, they're lacking in the freak department. But when your team starts with so many essential skills and just weird skills that you don't see, and they're well coached, they're a problem. And The problem this season could be the Texas A&M Les Agricultures. You've got the Movement 8 Blitzer. You've got a Strength 4 Blitzer. A Frenzy Blitzer. 4 guard stand firm yeomen. A bunch of Fen peasants, because that's what they do. But you have a dirty player peasant as well. Not that Baz ever fouls. I mean, I can check how many times these guys actually dropped the boot. 1. He's dropped 1 boot. Granted, he could have just recently got his skill up because he's a peasant and doesn't deserve SPPs. But the point is, this team is a pain in the ass. I played them in the bowl game. It wasn't fun. Nothing you do against Bretonian teams is how you normally play Blood Bowl. You like follow up and mark stuff and do all like it just nothing goes according to how you want it to go, and it's infuriating. And they're well coached, and he's got a couple stats in the right places, and it's just it's gonna be a fun team to watch. See how they do this season. Especially since I think a lot of their good players are seniors. Looks like 4, maybe 5. So we'll see how this current Bretonian roster does before we give way to the Imperial Noble roster that replaces it, allegedly. Bass is cheating. I saw him delete a plus strength from his best blitzer. And Gark has verified it. It's certainly possible. I mean, I do have the ability to edit injuries. That's how we get rid of the miss next game, so I don't know. I do have a very large treasury on my team. Who knows how it got that way. But also in that conference, we'd be remiss to not cover the team that made it to the championship game to face Oregon. That'd be the Pitt Panzers. I don't like dwarves. I disdain them highly, and the team is
As you should.
boring because it's dwarves, and just like, all right, here's some guard guys, here's some stand firm. Does have plus MA on both runners, which is incredibly nice. And then I don't remember him having this for the championship game, but he took Hail Mary pass on Quadri, which is awesome because that's one of the best skills in the game that nobody ever takes. It's interesting on a dwarf team, though. I guess your thought is when you finally get the ball down, you just punt it to the other side, and so they can't pick it up and score. Interesting.
Or, you could use it as a send some guys down, use your blockers to protect the Hail Mary pass, and just chuck it down to pick up.
I think if you're in that situation as dwarves, you've probably done messed up. But I don't know dwarves, so who knows? Maybe Gazark knows something. He's lost all of 2 games in 22 matches with this team, so maybe we should take his word for it. Gotta be a punt thing? It's certainly possible, Log, but we'll see how Pitt does in its 3rd season. Certainly won't be easy to get back to the title game, but wouldn't put it past Gazark. He's been a championship contender pretty much every time he's been in the league. So also in the FBC, we've got Army, UPike, Drexel. I don't know much about Louisiana, but that's a Skaven team that's slowly been building up under Coach Rumi, who's someone else I haven't really talked to a whole lot. But this team looking pretty scary. You know, those Skavens in their... Oh god, Astaflix. Skaven in their stat ups in the right places. And when you've got movement 10, blodge, sidestep, gutter, plus strength, wrestle, gutter, plus MA 2 heads block, plus agility, plus MA block gutter, plus strength, mighty blow, tackle, guard, blitzer. I mean, Jesus. 16 players, 3 rerolls, which is not ideal. But you have leader. So, you've got all the tools. This team has a record of 9, 6, and 7, but perhaps better things are coming for Louisiana as they move into their 3rd season. I think they've made a bowl twice already, so that's a good sign. So they've got the depth, they've got the skills. Let's see if they can take the next step and start getting to the mid-tier and maybe upper-tier bowls. Suppose that leaves us with one conference. That would be the SEC. Conference that doesn't get a lot of national attention, but inside they really enjoy playing each other. There's a lot of fluff between teams like Navy, TCU, Zetarog's trifecta of teams that he rotates in and out every season. Mid-State, the quietest orc team in the nation. Bill Brasky says he's playing in the league, doesn't send another message until the next participation PM. So let's take a look first at the team that finished second in the polls last season. Unfortunately, had to face Oregon in the semifinal and fell 2-3, but that is an up-and-coming... Oh, we can take a look at Drexel. Don't worry, Dorothy. But first, we're taking a look at Alexis's Amazon team. That would be the RMC She-Devils. And when Amazons hit their stride, they are a pain in the butt. So, plus agility on a blitzer, plus MA on a blitzer, and you cannot have enough plus MA on an Amazon team, I would imagine. A couple of injuries, perms on their to their blitzers, which is not ideal, but you've got Blodge on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 players. A couple up and coming players you can skill. Dirty player, one. Wait, really? Just one guard? Wow. Okay, well, that's something they can definitely work towards, but certainly a team that Amazons have not really been represented a whole lot in the NCBB historically. There was... I know Robo, I think, had one for a while. There was an Amazon team that I think went to a title game in, like, season, like, 11, 13 kind of range, but it's just not been... Oh, Wolves, of course, with Berea.
They pop up every now and again in non-AQ, but, you know, with someone trying them out, but they never really get far.
Doesn't seem like it, so we'll see how Alexis can do in the team's third season. I mean, they've played 21 games, and they've only lost 3. So, whomever this coach is, they clearly know what they're doing. All right. So, apparently I missed highlighting something from Drexel, so we'll go back to a previous conference and take a look at that team real quick. The Drexel Draugers, 1830 Norse team, and there's a couple players we need to look at, apparently. This is Snoogan's team. So apparently the highlight is the Snow Troll. Blodge, Mighty Blow, already comes with Frenzy, Claw, Disturbing Presence, all that fun stuff. So that's just a nightmare to deal with. You've got a solid Berserker. You've got a double plus AG Blodge Step Catcher. You've got another Berserker with Mighty Blow Guard Tackle. The Ulfin whatevers are not where you want them to be yet, but one's Frenzy Block and one's Frenzy Dodge Jump Up, which is interesting. Not a super deep team right now, 12 players, but you've got 1,800. Record's not great, but you know, Norse are one of those teams where it just takes that one good run to really get the team going. It's like a snowball effect, right? So, cool players there. French Canadians have no friends. Wow. All right, so where were we again? We were going through the SEC. So I guess we should take a look at the Commissioners team, and that's a chunky team too. That's 1940 Skaven. Oh my God, that's a lot of perms. So, freshmen apparently keeping players around despite any injuries. Double perm on a blitzer. 3 gutters with the perm and just some random line rat with the perm. But the players that are alive: Claw, Mighty Blow, Tackle, Juggernaut on the double perm blitzer. Mighty Blow, Guard, Stand Firm, Tackle on the other. Horns, Wrestle, Tackle, Strip Ball on one gutter runner. Blodge Step on the minus AV. I'd probably cut that guy. Minus AV is just that bad, and he's nothing special after his 2 skill rolls. So, other guy, Travante Heights, is Blodge Step, Pass Block, Diving, Tackle. So clearly designed just to frustrate Appajar and Appajar alone, because nobody else really passes the ball in this league. plus strength block on a thrower. It's the second time we've seen that, which is interesting. An accurate leader on another thrower, which has been Freshman's kind of thing with his throwers. He gets low rerolls, takes a leader on a thrower, and runs it that way. So we'll see. Team's pretty banged up, but Freshman always seems to know how to play his rats well. So apparently Hyper's taking credit for a lot of those injuries, which, I mean, Lizards can certainly put a hurting on Skaven. Did we do a broadcast for that game? Because I'm vaguely remembering it now, where it was just absolutely brutal at the end, where there's like 4 rats on the field. We didn't. Okay, I must have just been watching it because he won the game. That's true. We've covered your game a couple times and it has not gone as well, but it's okay. We'll not cover any of your games this season and see how it goes. But back to the SEC, we'll take a look at Old Navy just because they've been in the league so long. And Einir helped revive the league after its hello
timing on my part.
Oh wow, good job. Yeah, Einir helped revive the league before Season 5. It had kind of gone downhill going into Season 4, and there was allegedly some sort of like really half-assed Season 5 with like 8 teams that never finished, so we don't even count that. Back in the Dark Ages. Where is Navy? There. Oh, there.
Link.
When you're 1750 TV and you're 27th on the list of teams sorted by TV, that's a bad sign. That's a pretty chunky league we've gotten to.
Well, I traded off all my SPP in my backfield last season. At the end of the season, I mean.
Yeah,
but that's one thing I like about NCBB. We can get chunky league periods every now and again, but you know, you got 4, maybe 5 seasons with a player, and then they're gone. So
it's true. They got to walk across the stage. Well,
yep.
We assume they get their diploma. We're not going to say Blood Bowl players are the smartest Chads, but
hey,
I mean, if they get...
great academic tradition. Thank you very much.
There you go. I mean, but when some of the players literally have a skill called really stupid, I mean, it's just hard to believe that every Blood Bowl player that goes to NCBB schools graduates. But that's another topic for another day.
Hey, all those, keep in mind that all the really stupid guys that don't end up in the NBFL can always get jobs with the military.
It's true. That's a shameless plug for Navy and Air Force, who have a rivalry game coming up in out of conference.
And Army.
But
Army
good.
Yeah, Army is. I'm pretty sure they aren't in this season.
No, Tim's in the season.
Is?
Yeah.
I thought he was out because of his issues.
He's in your conference.
He's in your conference.
My apologies. I thought he was out. I thought he was out this season because of his issues before.
Well, I don't remember the details, but it looks like he's coming, and because of your ignorance, he deserves to beat the hell out of you because you just literally forgot about him.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't forget about him. I just assumed he...
You just assumed he was no threat. I mean, I get it. It's fine. All right, but we'll see if Navy's a threat to Air Force. Let's see what they got on the roster. They've got block, kickoff, return, fend, leader, permed, but otherwise pretty solid thrower. They've got some Tomb Guardians, 2 with block, 1 with plus strength. That's not too bad. 2 new blitzers, though. That's pretty rough to build around. And then literally just a bunch of chaff. So we'll see if Einir can get those blitzers to where they need to be. Maybe get lucky on the new young freshman anointed thrower. And we'll see what old Navy can do this season.
Yeah. It was tough losing that 8 movement thrower. I had the potential, not saying I could have, but I had the potential for 1-turn scores.
I mean, I think you should settle for like 3-turn scores based on how your offense usually goes, but regardless.
Usually Navy settles for that 8-turn score.
8 turns. I mean, to be fair, the 8-turn score is probably the best play in Blood Bowl, but you can't tell that to all the coaches out there.
Elf coaches.
Elf coaches, yeah. I mean, there's some, like, if you ever watch Baz, who's listening in, he plays Wood Elves in the NBFL currently, and Dutch also liking what he sees from your Tomb Guardians there, since Dutch coaches a Kemry team in the pros, so just keep developing them out the pipeline for him, okay? But
I try my best.
If you ever watch Baz, he does what we refer to as the Baz Dacustine offense, because it's named after a different coach, and we just throw Baz in there. He 8-turn scores with what else? By running back to his end zone for the first 2 turns of the drive. The opposing team just automatically moves forward to try to pin them in, and eventually Baz like wiggles his way one way or the other, and the team overcommits or gets out positioned, and like he'll just sweep around them, break through, and stall out and score on turn 8. And it's magical to watch because it doesn't seem like it's going to work, and then boom, everything goes into place and it works, and all of a sudden he's in the AFC Championship game.
So it's Elf Blood Bowl in a nutshell.
Sure. I mean, depends.
Doesn't seem like it's gonna work. Doesn't seem like it's gonna work, and then they pull it out of their butt.
Yeah, but he does it in a different butt-pulling way, so it's interesting.
Ah.
Yeah.
Also, on a schedule note, Air Force and Navy are preliminarily scheduled for tomorrow at 4 p.m. Central.
Tomorrow, 4 p.m. Central. Okay, I am off, so I might be able to catch that.
I will probably be trying to stream it if I'm not coughing up a lung.
Okay, well, I hope your lung's okay. But
Nah,
it's all the warpstone exposure.
yeah, that'll happen.
nah, it's allergies.
Same thing. Tomato.
Yeah.
All right, so that's a couple of SEC teams. Is there any team that we missed that we didn't cover that we want to take a look at? Anyone in chat want to vouch for their own program real quick?
I'm always partial for, maybe a history lesson. Look up the Northern Lustrian Huskies.
No.
Yeah,
Hyper typing something in the chat. We'll see. Yeah, we mentioned Texas Tech before you got there. We noticed your skink right off the bat. He's the first player listed. The senior Source with the double stats, very nice. We talked about how just god awful it would be if he just fell to Guru somehow and became a gorilla. Like, that's the last thing we need right now. Guru's already going to be playing in the Super Bowl. And he does need a gorilla. So please, please do not, if you're listening and coaching the NBFL, let that player fall to Guru in the draft. Regardless, I guess since we've looked at some of the teams and the non-AQs too large to really care about, I guess we have to make some playoff predictions. Don't we? Yes, XCon, we do. Okay, well, I guess we'll do that then. So, we've got to pick 4 teams to make the playoffs, and then pick 1 to win it all. And I am notoriously, what's the word I'm looking for? Evil with my predictions? Because if you don't know, the NBFL playoffs, I do a prediction every season, all the way back to season 3 or 4. And, sorry, Einir, I don't think that one's going to work. But, Charlie, if you want to put a prop bet on the odds of Navy, Air Force, Army, and Navy, again, being the 4 playoff teams, I'll be happy to take it. I don't care if you put like 1,000,000 to 1. I'm still taking it. I don't need a payout for that one.
it's possible. Everyone in the league has to drop except for those 3 teams.
I mean, let's be honest here. All 3 of those teams are not the best teams. As much as...
Like I said, everyone else in the league has to leave.
I think Mayuso's on point. It's more likely to be the McNurgles group than the playoff group. But prop bet who finishes higher. I'd be interested in that one. I want to see what Charlie can come up with. Let me ping him real quick. I know he's listening. Charlie, also we're through with the XCon can't know about the underground thing. So Charlie, we need a prop bet between Navy, Air Force, and Army on who's going to finish highest or most wins, or however you want to phrase it. We need that bet, and we need it. We need the official line by this weekend because I think people are going to put some money on that.
Well, you need it by tomorrow because Navy and Air Force are going to have their first game against.
Okay, so 4 p.m. tomorrow. No, 3:59 p.m. Central tomorrow is your deadline. Get it done.
He left already.
Well, maybe he's doing some research and trying to figure out what the bet should be. All right. So, playoff time. I've never once predicted correctly the Super Bowl winner. And in fact, the teams that I usually do predict crash and burn like furiously in the playoffs. So it has become what is known as the ex-con curse. So if I predict you to win, you should not be happy in general. With that being said, we've got to predict 4 teams for the NCBB playoffs where that rule may or may not apply. Nelphine, you don't want to know. But spoiler alert, I'm not picking you to make the playoffs. So
50K on UTEP podium miners to make the playoffs. I want to see Nurgle up there.
If you want to see Nurgle, I'd probably put money on John Molson. But that's also the most brutal conference to go through. Granted, if you win those games against big teams, even if you lose a couple, you could get a strength of schedule boost. Garnack also has a Nurgle team who will also face John Molson and Cal and Oregon in out of conference. But Garnack, solid team with Florida. They're also Nurgle. So if you're looking for a Nurgle team, maybe that's the play. I didn't really expect to be talking too much about betting here, but I don't know.
Did somebody say betting?
Yes. Hey, Charlie, welcome in. We've got an assignment for you.
I've got several assignments, and all of them are, of course, above the board and in no way nefarious.
Of course, that's why we don't have a specific channel for that we are hush-hush about. So, allegedly, if there was like an illegal gambling ring, who would you have as the most likely team between Air Force, Navy, and Army to have the most wins? Like, if you were putting a line on that, where would you go?
Well, hypothetically speaking,
Of course.
I think that betting on Army to win games is a fool's errand.
Ouch.
I respect a couple of their games, and I think they find glory bathing in the cup of poo that is McNurgles. So then it comes down to Air Force or Navy, and I think Air Force is one of those fun teams to watch that you don't expect to win, but when they do, you're like, huh, I saw that coming. And Navy is so hit or miss. I think I would probably put Air Force as my 1, Navy as my 2, and Army as my 7.
Putting your faith in me is a fool's errand. Let's be honest here.
Maybe it's just a matter of perspective. But if we could get an official prop bet for that by 3:59 p.m. Central tomorrow, because Navy and Air Force kick off their season against each other in their annual rivalry game, I want to see what kind of money comes in on that, because you get the 3 military academies. You got an interesting bet, perhaps. I want to see what the people think about that one.
All right. Well, I wouldn't actually be able to set any kind of line because I have no association whatsoever with any affiliation such as that.
Right.
But perhaps if there is some kind of underground network, that there will probably be a line on those 3 teams and total wins or most wins. What would you think that would be more exciting?
You mean total wins for like the trifecta, or most wins
No.
out of the trifecta?
For each team.
I think just having people bet on most wins of the 3 teams, like who they think will have the most, would probably just be simple and interesting.
A horse race, then. Okay.
Yeah.
I will definitely file that away as something that could possibly be done in a alternate universe.
Okay. If there was said alternate universe, are there any other interesting bets or props or anything of the like that somebody could come up with hypothetically?
One of the ones that I'm actually kicking around that I kind of like, and I believe it's which pod is it? Is it pod 8 that has Skaven, Pro Elves, Norse, and is it Ottawa in pod 8?
Let's see. Pod 9 is TCU, Skaven, Hawaii Pro Elves, Ottawa Undead, and Drexel Norse. Is that the one you're talking about?
Yeah, I've heard rumors that one of the prop bets that might come out is you decide what's there going to be more of, scores or casualties.
Like between the whole pod?
At the end of that pod,
Ooh.
what's going to be there more of? That's one that I've heard. That sounds like kind of fun.
That's interesting. I think I would lean casualties based on Undead and Norse. And then
that's where I was thinking. That's kind of where my first thought was. So that would probably get weighted at like a -1.5, perhaps.
Okay.
to balance that a little bit more, but I thought that would be kind of fun.
I like that.
I was thinking, unfortunately, Pitt happens to be in the same pod as Normandale, but like trying to pick a couple pods where there's more of a front runner and, that team versus the field to see who finishes top of the pod.
I like that.
For even money bets. I'm trying to grab a couple more, and I know some games have been played, and so that kind of weighs things a little bit, but definitely I want to get at least 3 or 4 bets out there by, maybe I'll sit down and crack it out and try and get those done before the night ends, although I was actually kind of seeing if maybe 1 or 2 of my opponents might be online as well, so
okay.
That might skew me.
A busy man.
Well, it's that. I got kids, I got a job, I got a wife, I got a Blood Bowl addiction, all these things.
Yeah, such is the way. All right.
I thought of another prop bet.
Okay.
What do you got?
TCU versus Hawaii, over under 8 scores.
Under.
Yeah, I would take that as an under. I would probably put that at 5.5.
And 3-2 seems like a likely score. I think.
Yeah.
4-3 is not out of the realm of possibility. But when TCU has that pass block, diving, catch, blodge, gutter, it's just Appijar can't do anything against that. Except for the fact that he has 2 dump-off catchers now, which is incredibly nice. But
Appijar is about as useless as his hockey team.
Wow.
Ooh.
How are the old Islanders doing? I know they were...
Well, they were losing last I checked.
Okay. Well, let me take a gander at ESPN real quick.
I think it was 2-1 at the end of the second.
That's a basketball score. It is 2-1 start of the third, it looks like. So Lightning are up currently. How's basketball going? Bucks are slightly winning. Okay.
I also have to throw in there, if he's an Islanders fan, I wonder what his opinion is on the old fisherman logo for the Islanders.
Like from the 80s?
I think it was the 90s. They looked like the Gorton's fisherman logo.
A question for another day, I suppose. All right. Okay, so...
But I would be very willing as a passing spectator, if anybody wants to throw up prop bets or potential bets in the channel that doesn't exist, myself and my underling, Waffle House, enjoy looking at. Oh, there you go. Well done. Yeah, that's it. All right. Gordon's Fishman. That looks great. Anybody who wants to put up any prop bets or stuff like that, I can, if they want House to cover those, I will adjust them as I see accordingly. But if people want to bite on somebody else's prop bet, that is more than semi-legal. And I'm sure you weren't listening to any of that, XCOM.
Listening to what?
There you go. Exactly. We got it.
All right. So back to what we were talking about before we got sidetracked by hypotheticals. 4-team playoff. Who do we got? Looking at the board, it's tough just looking at the names and not looking at the teams and the TVs and the out-of-conference matchups, but just betting against Crichton when he has most of his team back seems like a fool's errand. So give me Crichton for one of the spots, and I'll do my damnedest on Monday, hopefully, to thwart that. Who else are we going for? Texas A&M would be a good pick, but see, I'm not sure if Baz wants me to pick him or wants me to not pick him. Like, I think he wants to do this like flying under the radar thing, despite the fact that he's Baz. But I suppose when you're potentially overshadowed by Pitt being in the championship game last year, maybe teams will focus on Pitt more. I don't think the Dwarves, as good as Kazark is, can go undefeated again in the regular season. He was 6-4-0. They'll probably drop a game somewhere because it's just Dwarves. RMC is interesting. I didn't watch them a lot, but clearly they know what they're doing. I'll take.
How much weight do you give to Monona?
I was about to say. I was literally about to say. I think I have to pick Menno, making it. Yeah. The conference is brutal, but I think the out of conference isn't too bad. It's not. It's a little tough. It's got UNC Charlotte, so Bull finally getting a shout out, and UNC and UNAM have, I think, a blood feud or rivalry or something, but that's always a tough game for both teams. Miss State and Orcs, if Bill Brasky's team is in fighting mode, he could beat up just about anybody in the league. And then Ohio State we covered. They've got some players. They were high TV, so it's not an easy road for UNAM. But if you win two of those, go ahead.
Yeah. No, I was just going to ask if Ohio State, is that still OTS's team?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, he's out. No.
Out of what?
Yeah, he's not going to make it.
Oh, I wasn't saying he was going to make it. I'm saying he's in the pod with Menno and Bill and Bull. But yeah, I wouldn't pick Ohio State. It's just no offense.
They've got a lot of players.
They've got a lot of players. Go ahead.
I was going to say, adding another one, what do you think of Alexis's Amazon team? They made it last year.
They did,
and they're
going to
have another season of building on them.
It's true, but I think maybe Amazon's, they kind of peak early because you just need one skill on the Linos, and then they're kind of like capped out almost. And then the Blitzers, you get 2 skills. You know, you get guard and mighty blow or guard and tackle or something. But the team only has 1 guard. And maybe they caught people off guard last season. Not to use the word guard twice in the same sentence. But
it's very clever.
I don't know. I think it'd just be tough for them now that they have people's attention. I'm going to take Crichton for 1 spot, Menno for another, because the movement 10, agility 4 Wolf. Like, what do you do against that? If Menno doesn't happen, just beat your team up, he still has that in his back pocket. So Menno goes undefeated, and the coach still marries him. That would
as per tradition.
That would be tradition. Also, Mayuso, I appreciate throwing Cal in there, but I think the team's young. I think next season, not that I want to give away my grand plan, but we're building mostly towards next season because I don't think we have many seniors. Actually,
I think this year is pretty wide open, actually. I mean, I'm looking for some other big hitters out there, and nothing's really, jumping out. I mean, like you said, the She-Devils are there, but it's not. I mean, they're at 1830, which is kind of big for Amazon. They usually, like you said, peak around about that 1,1600 points, so they could get themselves into some trouble with some inducements against some people taking saws and whatnot. Mm-hmm. Kentucky, another good Chorf team, but I mean, they don't really strike me as having anything that really stands out to set them apart. Because usually it's you get yourself a star player, or not you get yourself a very good player on your squad that you can build around, and you learn to play with them, and then it just kind of you snowball. Teams aren't ready to play with those types of players, so.
Mm-hmm. All right.
I don't know. I think you got the 1-2 of like you said, Menno and
Crichton. I'll take those 2, and I guess I'll take Baz. At this point, it looks like I'm just taking chalk, but that team is loaded. I have firsthand experience facing them, and I know how tough they are. It's just you can't score in that team, not easily. So I'll take Texas A&M as my 3rd. And then 4th, I need a surprise team, and Kazark's going to say something in the chat, and maybe he likes being the underdog or whatever else. Let's see what he says. And then
Brasky's Orcs can move, huh? That's interesting.
It's true. They're not a bad team, and they're pretty up there in TV as well. He's actually 3rd. He's 1990, which is the year I was born, actually. Wow.
And if I was going to pick a coach to play Bash, it would be Bill.
Yeah, double plus movement Black Orcs that also have blocking guard. Double plus movement blitzers, and a troll with piling on for some reason. But wow, that is a relatively fast orc team on average.
I was going to ask what about Gark's Wood Elves, but then I went to his page, and Jesus, they're down to 4 players. It's
not the Wood Elves he's bringing. He's bringing in an old High Elf team.
Ah, okay.
They were playing right now, so let's click on this upcoming match.
Actually, that's a nice looking team.
Oh wow, he won the game. Let's see if he got beat up in the process. No, I don't want to watch the replay. I just want to see the report. Clemson got beat up. Clemson almost got outblocked by the High Elves. Wow. Not that blocks are everything, but that just kind of shows you how the game flow went if Undead are just constantly outblocking and setting up chain blocks and more blocks and more blocks and fouls. That's generally a good sign. But when you're not avalanching the elf team, that's not a good sign, and clearly didn't go his way. ITBA opening the season with a 1-0. You know what? I'll take Gark. this has convinced me. I didn't quite believe Menno the other day in our schedule release that ITBA was going to sweep the out-of-conference. I was like, nay, sir, Clemson, you got to watch out for them. You may be forgetting about Nomad. And apparently, Gark just doesn't care. So, yep, give me Crichton, Menno, Baz, and Gark. It was literally like the chalkiest of the playoff predictions you could make. So, those are my 4 teams. 2 High Elves, an Undead, not Undead, Necro, and Bretonnian. Be the highest ranked Bretonnian team in league history. So, those are my 4. And to win it all out of those 4, give me Menno with that movement 10, agility 4 Wolf, and now he won't win it. So congratulations, Menno. You are hereby going to win/not win the championship. So congratulations.
I don't know. I think I would for my dark horse. I mean, not really looking at the team, you wouldn't call it a dark horse, but and the coach is solid enough too. But the Louisiana, I mean, how do you defend against 3 move 10 rats? I mean, good lord.
If you thought that was bad, you should have seen Relazite's Skaven team in the NBFL, and I shouldn't say should as in past tense. I should say should as in like right now. And whenever he plays in the AFC Championship game against Baz, his rat team is so filthy. Let me pull it up. I know it's a different league, but it's relevant to the conversation because
which coach is it?
It's Relazite, who's not in the league anymore.
Okay.
But he was in the league for a long time, and he had a pretty good run with Pro Elves. I want to say he won 1 title, but because of time constraints, he doesn't play the NCBB, unfortunately. But this is what Rel is working with in the NBFL. So if you thought Louisiana was bad, this is Louisiana on steroids. Now remember, some of these are draftees. So you get these players from the NBFL or from an expansion draft for folded NBFL teams. But look at this.
Oh my.
Double agility strength Storm Vermin. Double agility 2 heads Sure Hands Gutter Runner. Plus AG, sidestep 2 heads, diving tackle gutter, who's missing the championship game. Could be big. Probably won't be, because the other 2 gutters are just simply movement 10, block, sure feet, sprint guys. And a homegrown gutter, or not gutter runner, blitzer with mighty blow plus strength tackle guard. 1 plus strength lino. And he had another one before, like 2 games ago when he got killed, but not only is his TV low relative to the league, so he gets wizards, but he's got 2 one-turners, an agility 5 blitzer whose strength, it's a problem, as you can imagine. He got the number 1 seed in the AFC and is currently waiting to play Baz in the championship game, so yeah. So all your stat freaks that we grow here in our currently 48-team league trickle up into the NBFL, and sometimes one player seems to get, or one coach gets all of them at once, and this is what happens. So
yeah, that
hyper, it's disgusting. it's disgusting. Granted, it's at the end of a long season, so 14-game regular season, and then he's played 1 playoff game in the divisional round because he had a bye. So after 15 games, his TV has dropped considerably, down to 1830. But there are a bunch of 2,700, 3,000 level teams in the league. So it's kind of at a disadvantage when you're that chunky and you're playing a Skaven team that ridiculous who has wizards and babes and everything else. It's whew. So
interesting league, that NBFL.
Yeah, it's a blast, but also Baz is right. It's not just the rats. I mean, those players are obviously outstanding, but Rel always uses them right. So that's something we could look forward to. Hopefully the teams in our league, when you have players like this, hopefully we use them right and you go on that run to get to the playoffs and you have that, once in a generation movement 10 agility 5 skink and he carries your team to a championship, or you have literally the golden generation that TCU had where they won back-to-back titles. But I'd not be remiss to forget the fact that it was a regular season game that we have on video on my YouTube page where TCU was down for the count. Like, they were on an 8-9 count. The ref was going to call it. Nomad and his East Carolina humans were punching out rats left and right. There was like nary a gutter on the field. And Freshman had the crazy idea to send the rat ogre deep for a long pass. And he chucked it to him. He caught it, scored 2 turns later, turned the entire game around, ended up winning that game, ended up going on to win the championship. But moments like that is what makes this league great.
But I think we always have to, whenever we mention the highs of TCU winning the championship after that turnaround, you have to mention the lows. They lost to a Kemry pass.
That they did. And
I don't know how it happened.
Well, you see, when you have a ball in your hand and you move it forward in a certain motion, the ball goes forward and you can move it from player to player over a distance of several squares, perhaps.
This sounds like sorcery.
Yeah, that's probably too complicated for your Skelly boys, Bony boys, whatever you want to call them. But it'd be just a damn shame if nobody ever got to see that old TCU versus Navy game. But luckily we have it on video for everyone to see for all eternity. So if you missed it by chance, watch this replay of number 1 TCU versus Navy back from season 35. It's an hour and 20 minutes long, so just listen or watch when you get time. Probably one of the most epic endings from the commentator point of view, because it was me and like 4 other people in the booth just going, "Do it, Navy, you can do it!" And it was just glorious. So moments like that are what we live for in this league. Trying to win championship is one thing. Graduating players, managing your team, just having fun. We've got 48 coaches in the big league. We've got more in the non-AQ. We love doing commentary for games, so if you know when you're going to play, let us know ahead of time. We're going to try to cover Navy versus Air Force tomorrow, for example, at 4 p.m. Central. Be there or listen in later.
I have to ask: is that go for 4 bet? Is that what started the underground bet, or so I've heard?
I'm going to say
I'd never heard of bets.
I'm going to say
prior to that.
No, there was a time gap, obviously, between the go for 4 and the alleged establishment of an underground betting ring. I forget, just sometime last season, like, people started talking about stuff like that in the chat, and then, you know, eventually stuff like that expands, and there's this whole, like, underground network that the league's gonna not look into because we don't know about it.
What allegedly happened, and it cannot, of course, be confirmed nor denied, was there was a wager between person A and person B about the age of Coach C in chat, direct chat, and I ended up losing $50K to Wogs. I mean, Coach A to Coach B, because McCreed was younger than I thought, and so, or allegedly, and XCon adjusted the gold and I said, I'd love to take going this forward, and I think it'd be kind of fun, and it's kind of went from there kind of thing. So now it's just a little side project of Wogs and myself just having some fun with it, and now we've got ourselves a survivor pool this year and a knockout pool, and I gotta get some lines going, but you know, it's just fun. I'm trying to be very mindful of the fact that we don't want people, you know, wagering obviously more than they can afford to lose, but also not win something where all of a sudden you've got teams that are supposed to be balanced by treasury, like, you know, elves and stuff like that, all of a sudden having a bankroll of $350K, and all of a sudden they don't have to worry about anything.
I do think it makes a lot of sense, though, in a league like this where, I mean, we're literally on season 38, and there's some teams that have been here for 10 plus seasons. There's been a couple that are here for 30 plus seasons. And so when your treasury is literally 2 million or over 1 million, I mean, undead type teams have this problem where they just don't usually have to spend money. And in a league where there's no spiraling expenses or whatever they want to call it, expensive mistakes, you just have a bunch of money you don't know what to do with. And so for teams that have been around for 2+ graduating classes, it's something for them to do on the side. Now, teams, like you said, that are Season 2, who have nary 60K to their name, probably shouldn't be making alleged bets in a underground, ring.
Apple jar.
Apple jar. Because you might need that money pretty soon. And
it sounds like you're saying you have to be this old to bet.
It's
Whatever.
It's advisable. Basically, you got to be smart with it because there is a stipulation, theoretically, if we did have an underground betting ring, that if you do lose money, or is it bet money or lose money, that you can't receive scholarship funding.
I like that rub a lot, by the way.
Yeah.
I think that's really good, and especially when people didn't realize that even after they put rules or guidelines of the place have been posted. I think Apple's jaw might have hit the floor when he's like,
he's like, wait a second. Not only did I lose all my money,
God, what have I done?
I can't get more money. Yeah. But yeah, if that happened, I mean, that wouldn't be a good situation. So if you're a new team and you're still going through your first graduating class, we wouldn't recommend doing any illegal bets on the side if there was such a source for that, because it can get you in trouble. But life's like that. You go through things and you learn the hard way sometimes, right?
And we're all adults here, and I'm not one to tell somebody else what to do with their money. So if you feel the itch, come on down to the underground.
Is there not a follow-up part to that sentence?
What sentence? I don't know what you're talking about.
Well, that's also true, but it sounded like one of those like jingles, like "Come on down to the underground." We got something. I don't know. Like,
I need to enlist one of our talented people to get that in glitzy GIF form. Come on down to the underground. I'm onto something here.
It's true. It's like
I just coined that.
It's like an off-brand Vegas commercial. But
yeah. I especially like that the NCBB looks upon the underground like Major League Baseball looks upon foreign substances.
What are you talking about? There are no foreign substances in baseball. All right, that's enough for us. We've got our predictions. We've got some analysis of teams. We've got some betting props if we did such a thing. We've got some historical highlights. We've hit everything in this show. So best of luck to everybody this season. Let us know when you're playing your games. We've got several people who have Twitch capabilities to broadcast games and do some commentary, because it's a lot of fun doing it. It's also interesting to see your game from someone else's perspective, because you think you see a good plan in the moment, and by and large, people who are watching were like, oh, you could have done this, and you're like, damn, I could have and should have done that. So it's a good learning tool, in addition to a lot of fun. We can always jab people for what happens in games, but it's just another thing that makes this league great. Not to toot our own horn. So, Einir, Charlie, Baz, Gark, Hyper, Kazarik, Nelfine, and anybody else who's in chat or watching this now and in the future, we thank you. Good luck this season, and we'll see you next time.
Cheers.
Excellent show.